causes conflict? How do you clarify? Just with her mentioning this woman going into the sex industry and talking to her father about it, the positive thing about it is often the lying hurts more than it doesn't. I mean, I was following the whole article with Belle Knox as well. I don't know if you heard about her. She is the porn star. Sex boot, yeah. Adult entertainer.
The Duke University girl.
Yeah, at Duke University. Yeah. And so she came out and she was being interviewed, and she did talk about conflict with her family because she didn't tell them before it hit the news.
I haven't told my family.
Yeah. So, you know.
You haven't?
No, I have 3 brothers. I told one brother who, he was going through a lot of shit anyway at the time, so like we ended up not speaking for like a year. I've been doing this about 4 years. But no, the rest of my family doesn't know.
Wow. It's a lot to drop on some
I've
people.
been thinking about telling them, well, one brother is so ridiculously conservative, I have no idea. Like, he may murder me.
Oh, scary.
So I'm telling you all this now.
Yeah, so we'll know what happened if she doesn't come back, if the podcast all of a sudden stops abruptly. I do think it's interesting like if somebody has a more traditional paradigm, how they can reject you because you threaten their own way of life.
Yeah.
And I think it's always important to say, I don't think that you need to do what I'm doing or necessarily live that, but I think I have had a lot of interesting experiences with relationships that are insightful, but, that help. I don't know. I think.
Before we go any further, I
Yeah.
just realized I made a huge mistake and did not.
Not hit record.
Yeah, it's nice to have this.
Mm.
So you're that, and you're the modern day courtesan.
Yeah.
And how did you come into that world, and how did you feel about it when you first?
So about 4 years ago, I had an opportunity, like a lot of things were happening, and I was getting back into writing. Previously I owned some businesses, and I was really wanting to get back in the creative world. So I was working with this woman. I had an opportunity to go to Russia to help film on a documentary, and I needed money for my ticket because they couldn't fund me. And I was like, okay, I'm going. I want to go. Like, I need money. And then I happened to, just like life does this, I happened to get in touch with an old friend from college who was funding all these projects that she was doing. And I'm like, how are you? That's amazing. But how are you like 24? Like, how are you doing this? And she's like, well, and the thing is I was always
handle it.
Yes.
Well,
Let me tell
have
you.
a coffee.
Yeah, let's sit down and talk.
It was over Ethiopian lunch.
Oh, I love Ethiopian food. If you haven't had that, try that at least, if not an open relationship.
Side note. But and then you know what? I
Ethiopian
took it like I was always fascinated with this world. Like I was like medical bound, but like I always like my favorite movie. Medically bound,
medical school bound.
Medical school bound. Sorry.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, medically bound
what?
to the bed.
Like I was headed down that road, but and then like my favorite movie, when I was younger was Dangerous Beauty, which is about Veronica Franco, like the famous courtesan. So I think that's a telltale sign in hindsight. But I've always been fascinated by this work, and when she told me about it, it was just it took me a month to like put 2 and 2 together and decide, oh my god, I'm going to do that.
Wow.
But I just jumped in, and I was so excited about it, and my intention was always super high. It was always like, wow, like I'm gonna bring this amazing experience to these men, and I'm just gonna bring love and joy and all the good things that I am, and I'm gonna enhance their experience as best as I possibly can. And I've had it's been a freaking life-opening, amazing journey.
So you actually come at it from like the sort of, it's not just about sex, it's
No.
about
It's about connection.
Spiritual connection.
there's an energy that you're sharing, and there's
Yeah.
it's like almost like like the sacred.
Yes. I don't take
we talk
clients.
a lot about that on the podcast. Yeah.
And I look, if a guy, and I can hear it in a voice, I'm very good at screening. When I hear someone on the phone, I know in the first 10 seconds what they want sexually, how they're going to value me, whether they're going to try to knock my price down, my donation, whether, like all these things, and it's very important that our value systems are the same, and I just don't take clients who are just looking for some TNA. Like if they just want my body, like you can go find someone else because
Okay, our next guest.
I don't know.
Oh,
But I want them to be able to appreciate everything I have to offer. So
Yeah.
the clients that I have, I'm very successful at what I do, and I have a great following of clients, and they love me for my passion and my ability to go deep with them and to have an amazing connection. They open up to me and tell me things that they don't tell anybody, and so they say. I guess you never know, but I think they're being honest.
You
know,
can
I
feel
mean,
it. You can feel it.
Yeah,
no,
yeah, no,
yes,
it's about the
and
energy
they
exchange. We
really
talk a lot about
share it,
this.
and it's a beautiful. They're dear friends of mine, and so yeah.
And what about relationships outside of your work?
So-
How does that work?
Right. So I've been in kind of an open dynamic as well. I
Uh-huh.
started dating a guy right when I started doing this work, and I didn't think I'm like, oh, I'm just going to go and do this work for a month and make a bunch of money and be done. And then I loved it, and it just worked. So about a year into it, I had to tell him. A year later, that was a tough one. But
Wow.
yeah. But he's a saint, and he's been
Now,
really pushing himself.
In the meantime, what did you tell him?
Yeah, what were you telling him?
Gotta go to work again.
Well, here's the thing, because
Oh, my second phone was
At 3 in the
ringing.
morning, at 2 in
I
the
have two
afternoon.
phones, and one is a flip phone because.
Well, you do keep your schedule pretty structured in a way.
I
It's not
do.
like any time, you have your own life. So
I do, but at the time I was living in one city, and I would go and travel and work in a different city. So it was kind of easy. So I told him that my girlfriend got into this situation where we were kind of like caterers on demand or something. So we would fill in for a friend's company as needed on demand. So it was always a last minute thing, and we had a chance to make a lot of money.
clever.
I don't know. Sounds like bullshit to me.
I don't know. This is sort of the gullible thing of like I'm very trusting. If somebody tells me that, I'd be like, oh, cool.
Yeah, I know, but I knew that he never fully bought it, but he never questioned me. And he always, when I told
Sometimes you don't
him,
wanna know.
in hindsight, he's like, I felt like something was going on. I'm like, why didn't you say
Yeah,
something?
but obviously it wasn't. I mean, he was accepting of it eventually. Did
He
it ever
was.
have a bad moment or?
I mean, it was rough for
Really?
a few months, yeah, and then, but no, I mean, he loves me, and he wants to make it work, and then at the time I was. And then I was like, well, because we do live in separate cities as well, so it's a long
Okay.
distance relationship, just to make it a
So
little
sort
more
of
complicated.
That adds to the openness, but it's hard.
Yeah, because I said, look, we're in different cities, let's just, have an open thing, and that's been a whole other journey.
Wow. And that's where
We're
you
pushing
recommend a lot
boundaries.
of
where you
books.
come in with your
Yeah,
expertise.
coaching.
So, are you, do you talk to a lot of couples who are in open relationships or contemplating it, or you just
We do. I mean, do you mean on our show or just?
you personally
conversation.
like?
Yeah, and in fact, I think what's fascinating is anytime that I'm honest and open about it, I think that's been a journey for me as well to like be open with people that I know, and usually it's either I've been having the same thought or they're really curious and engaging and have a lot of
Agree.
questions. I haven't encountered. Knock on wood, I haven't encountered anyone who was really hostile to it.
Mhm.
Neither
Um,
did
I did finally tell my sister, who I for some reason had more anxiety about telling her. I told my mother very early on.
Your
I speak
mom's
very
pretty
freely
cool
with
cat.
her. Yeah, not much of a good. I mean, I think she was a little like, what? Okay.
Yes.
How does that work? Like, are you? And I think if anything, she's kind of more. I think most people didn't know that there's an option. You sort of just assume there's this one model, and that's the way you
Yeah.
live your life. So I think for her, even now, she kind of checks in, going, "Are you sure you're happy? Like, maybe does this mean you don't want to be in this relationship?" And I check in with myself. I want to be in this relationship.
Do you mind being more specific about the structure of your open relationship?
Oh, no,
Because
of
there's
course.
many.
Yeah.
Like you don't go to swing parties and swap in front of each other.
No, I don't. Although, so the woman that we interviewed, that's on the air tonight, she does do more of that with her partner. I don't. I have to say, for me, I'm not that into it. It came about really with our traveling schedules. We both traveled a lot. I feel like that's pretty common with modern era people with regular
Busy
jobs.
lives.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's flying everywhere all the time, and you're lucky if you can coordinate your schedule. So there's a lot of love there, and there's a lot of history, but I like to get touched. so that's how it started, to be honest.
Back knots.
Yeah. I get like severe
Back
back knots.
knots.
I have like stress. I mean, it all builds up. I think for a long time, initially I was very shy about ever voicing that. And I met a girl in a class of mine, and she said, "Oh, read The Ethical Slut," you know. And then I sort of bought it, and I surreptitiously, I hid the book, and I was reading it. I didn't tell anyone. And then I had a little slip up where I thought, "Oh, I'm just gonna hook up with this person and not tell my boyfriend." I mean, that's, you know,
Well, he was away.
right,
Old
old school.
school.
Just
Old
and
school.
yeah, and he's, you know, he's out of town, and this is a placeholder, and it's someone that I liked a lot as a person. So again, not to disparage them as, you know, as a
Yeah.
whole person, and I think that's important, is respecting both relationships. But yeah, I kind of thought, okay, well, I can have fun. What was interesting is I was able to work it out with my boyfriend, but the other guy was not okay with it, and was fairly certain that I needed to
Yes.
leave my boyfriend and be
Don't
with
pick
him.
up a crazy.
Well, maybe I screwed up. I've gotten better about being more honest about what it is that I want and communicating that better. So it was a mix. You know, I don't want to just put all the blame on him, but yeah, it became a problem at some point. You know, where he got a little more aggressive, and I just had to cut it off.
So now when you know, find
Right.
someone you're attracted to and you think, okay, this could be,
If I'm interested, yeah, I
Yeah.
will actually talk with my boyfriend in advance. Usually, if I already sense something brewing, usually means a phone call or a text. And you just sort of, I'll just say, hey, you know, I see a little interest here. If I'm traveling on a trip and there's someone that's of interest, and then we'll
but
just
do you
talk
have to
about
be
it.
some traveling on a trip? What if-
No, I don't.
what about somebody, do you have a regular?
I do. Yeah.
Okay. And that works for, that's cool with him?
Yeah. I think I feel really. I don't know if it's that I'm fortunate or because I was forthcoming about what I was looking
Mhm.
for. It worked out well with this person. We're both compatible with our busy schedules, and I think for him, he was coming out of a very serious relationship, so I think maybe he wasn't looking for something as serious. So I think he likes the ease of it, and who knows where it'll evolve to. But
What happens if one becomes?
he's a great friend.
What happens if
Great
you become
conversation.
interested in somebody simultaneously as your
Yeah.
self-identified boyfriend? So you have two
Oh.
of them.
Oh
Or
yeah,
three of them.
there is another one
Okay.
in a different area code.
Okay.
Did I misunderstand? So there's
No, I got it now. Yeah.
there's a couple.
Not
And-
just
and
a
you're-
regular. I
you're
just meant
There's
comfortable.
a regular and there's
He
another
comes
one.
and tells you as well.
But you
Yes.
called one a regular and one your boyfriend. That's all I was saying.
Oh,
so
yeah.
you've got your primary.
So yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah, so there are a number of different ways of doing it, right? But
Yeah.
but yes, I would say I have a primary relationship. We live together, and then I have
No
this
satellites.
right.
Satellite.
So, yeah, it's not like there's all three of you are in a
Lovers.
relationship.
No, they haven't met each other. That's been a weird conversation with the boyfriend.
Does
you
he
know.
want to meet people that you're involved with?
He's brought it up. I think it does interest him. I think to meet them.
Does he want to massage out their knots or just say hi?
I think just say hi, but we never know. I'll let you know when it goes. We should, when you do your next webathon, we'll come on and see if it's advanced.
Okay.
Because it's anyway. I'm
Yeah.
not, I
So,
certainly
and
don't
just
judge
my last
or-
question about this is that he, you know, just balance. He comes to you, and then how do you respond to such things?
Yeah, sure. He tells me if he's been with someone. It's funny because the challenge, I think, is telling in advance. That's difficult,
Yeah.
especially if you're in a different time zone. You're like, do I text it? You know, text you? I don't know where you are emotionally. I think that's can be the most challenging for yourself to have the courage and strength to do that. But so yeah, he'll let me know. Sometimes it'll be, you know, he'll return from everyone's, oh, I met this person, you know, we did that. And I think for him it was a difficult. I mean, it was definitely me suggesting the open relationship, and I think for him, it's been a learning process. I think I would say, just now getting to a place where he's more open and comfortable and enjoying it.
Okay.
Yeah, where I think
Well,
again,
it seems more of a consistent. You guys have like a pattern, like a routine with it now.
yeah, and I think that was the process. I mean, finding that, and I don't think it's easy to. It's not going to be the same for everyone, so you have to find that. And I think know that you're in an experimental phase, which prevents you from blowing a lid and saying, "We're done here."
Are you both strictly hetero?
I am. I'd have to ask my boyfriend. I
So
believe my
far.
boyfriend is. Yeah.
So
Yeah. I
far.
am. Yeah. I have to say that hasn't. You know, I've dabbled a little bit here and there, but I wouldn't say anything too serious. You know, to each their own.
I'm just wondering if that complication existed, but not that it's complicated, but you know, there's always
Sure.
that guy too who's always dragging home, like, hey, let's make this three, you know, typical guy fantasy thing.
Yeah.
Right.
But you don't have to deal with that.
No. Yeah. No. We haven't had to deal with that. So in that sense, it's almost simple. It's really
Yeah.
purely an open relationship.
Yeah. Do your thing, get together, live
Yeah.
together.
Yeah, live together and support each other and build our lives together.
And I apologize because we got a little distracted. We finished the discussion about you and your boyfriend and how. Oh, he's cool with it now.
with my
With your profession. Yes.
thing. He is. He gets. See,
This
what
is
he
a very interesting growth. Go ahead.
what
The process, the way that it came for him, I feel like it was a process for him to
the
accept
open thing or my
Yeah.
what I do.
the open.
Well, I was
Oh,
gonna
wait.
say okay, you fill in where you feel, but I was gonna say with the profession, the thing that he had a difficult time understanding was the idea of connection because he has this model for himself that he's like, okay, fine, you can fuck other. Can I say that? Yeah,
Yeah.
you can fuck other people, but but it's just sex, right? Like it's just sex, or they're just your client. So there's like a defined, like there's a difference between just fucking and just your client. And I'm like, I don't just fuck. Like I don't ever just
That's
fuck
a
with anybody. So
Popular idea that I think a lot of people talk about. Like,
Yeah, and
most
so-
people go into it thinking, oh, we're just fucking, but what
Yeah.
we've learned and talk about.
And so when I try to tell him, like when I'll share stories about anonymously, like an interesting aspect of a client's life, or that I care about him, or that I'm worried about his wife, or whatever, he's like, he doesn't understand my concern, or why I'm wrapped up in them, or why they're texting and saying hi, or something. You know what I mean? And I'm like, well, they're friends, like, yes, there is connection. I'm not going to run off and start a life with him or anything, but so it was kind of an evolution for him to learn that about me, and that's doesn't mean that that I don't love him. And
Yeah.
he's still trying to understand that.
He wants it to be superficial because it feels
Yeah.
safer.
It's easier for him to
Most-
compartmentalize
Yeah.
the,
Whoops.
that. Yeah.
I was going to say, does that need to be?
I don't know. It looks like the green light's
Tap.
still on.
Yeah.
Can
No,
you see
you're-
us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
Okay.
on.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Well, I think that's an
yeah,
interesting
it's
problem
easier.
is that idea of what's safe, and people create, I think, false barriers to protect themselves. They
Yeah.
don't think that they are real. They're difficult to maintain. Inevitably, somebody crosses it, and then you yell the betrayal card.
Which I get, like, he does say, he's like, look, my only request is that I need to know that I'm somehow unique and special. And I'm like, your uniqueness and your specialness to me comes through the connection that you and I have. Like, I'm not going to have that with any other person. And I'm choosing you as my partner to build a life with, Like, I may have a connection with this client or this person or whatever, but it's not our connection. And so he always, like,
Tough
at
ethereal
first he
thing
was
to
like,
explain.
trying to put limitations on what I would do sexually, like, well, you can't do A, B, or C, and I'm like, well, why? Let's just put up a fence around. Let's just say that I shouldn't do it at all. Like, if those are kind of
So you're willing
silly
to
boundaries.
You're willing to do C?
No, sure, you hit these, but right, you're all of a
And
sudden
then-
you're in a sexual situation,
and
and
it's
then
like-
you go, oh no, we're not allowed to do
Which
that.
to me
Yeah.
is stupid.
No,
I'm
you don't
like,
you can't touch my left butt cheek, but you
yes,
can touch the
because
right.
the right one is you're right.
Yeah.
Left one is all him.
Mm.
It's like
Don't
so
swallow.
to me that
No swallowing. So basically,
other than safety is a different
Yeah.
story.
That is,
but
yeah,
in
that
terms
definitely
of like
comes up in conversation.
sure, which I'm all for, but no, in terms of like trying to control, which I get, he's trying to control my connection or
Mhm.
and also
Sure.
create ownership, or something that is solely his, but what is his is
Feels
intangible.
special,
It's it's something that exists elsewhere.
it's a complicated concept for a lot of people because it's
Especially an Italian man.
Yeah, men in
okay,
particular.
there you go.
Mhm.
Yeah, because it's like it's all, the body is a
Yes.
physical vessel, and sort of knowing that that's pristine makes you
Well,
think
theirs,
that
or-
maybe
yeah.
that there's some, but it's all bullshit anyway. Like it's the way we respond to other human beings outside of our relationships are complicated anyway,
Yeah.
and you can't.
Yeah, can you control it?
Yeah,
you can't
control
contain it. And if you try, you lose control.
Yeah,
It's
you
more
just
painful.
have to find that space where, again, you're connecting on that level. It is special. That is, like
Yeah.
you said, you're creating a life with them. But it's still challenging for a lot of people. I mean, I
course.
know you.
Well, I think this endeavoring into an open relationship has been really has helped me find my own center and force,
totally.
not force, but has helped me check in with myself more about like, am I being true to myself?
Mhm.
Am I just yielding to this person who I've committed to, or am I being honest about what I want?
Yeah, and I
You know, on a regular basis, did I voice what I needed, what I wanted just now, or did I say, oh, okay, whatever, because we're always together and we just do things together? And doing the open relationship thing has improved that for me.
Yeah, I've been talking to a couple guys earlier who are, you know, one Reed is a guy who does read about sex. He was great, by the way.
Yeah, we tuned in. I saw him a little
Yeah,
bit.
and he, you know, he talks about sex and relationships of all kinds. You know, not just poly, you know, but monogamy and all that. And you know, communication seems to be such a huge part of that,
Yeah,
so that
building
everybody's
those
kind
skills.
of on a. He talks about dating your own species.
yeah.
You know, it's kind of like being involved with somebody who's in
On the
in
same.
the same page as you are.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
but that's hard to find. People think they are.
Well, which I
They-
noted with the first guy that I got involved with as a satellite,
Mhm.
didn't understand, wasn't on the same page, and we had a very long conversation once. I even said, read this book, and you know, it was a different one called Opening Up, and Tristan Taormino wrote it, and so he the next day he comes back, he's like read it in one day. It's like, great, let's talk at lunch, and it ended up being a bit of a broken record. We kept going around and around, and I said, you're actually repeating yourself. I said, so it's clear that we're not on the same page, and we never will be, you know. So
Yeah.
I don't know. That was right.
Yeah.
That's difficult.
Well, yeah. You had to do what you had to do. So basically, what you're saying is between your boyfriend and your profession and your open relationship, you're having a lot of sex.
Yeah.
No
No,
wonder your skin looks so good.
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
orgasmic
Secrets to
flow.
good skin.
No, but yes, but it's not. It's not what you think.
Well, as you said, you don't. It's not just sex.
No, yeah, and
You
like
go
I mean, the
hoops,
guy,
you
he
chucks.
lives elsewhere, and I have a busy life, and my lovers, are right now married, which is let's add another complication.
Okay, there you go.
And they were actually I
And
have
they're
two
not in
regular.
open relationships.
They're not, but it's been really fascinating. So they were actually clients
Uh-huh.
turned personal, which is super faux pas.
Yeah, I was gonna say that isn't that.
That's totally
not
I know,
typical.
but I'm wild abandon.
How does that happen? So they're paying you, and then finally you just say, "I like you." This
You know,
keep your money.
and I'm thinking about switching it back. No, I am. I've been having this conversation with
Yeah,
her
me too.
because to me, here's what it is.
Are you gonna charge them retroactively?
One asked this, and I'm like, I fucking should. Dang,
Well,
right,
since you bring it up.
Yes,
That's a bad
I
idea.
am.
Good business. Practice good business.
Let's see, that's 4 months.
I'm like, you're a successful businessman. What do you think I'm gonna do? No, but
What do you recommend?
so married. What were we talking?
Yeah, you were. I said you're having a lot of sex.
Yes.
And you said it's not that. Not that.
Oh, they're married, and oh yeah, how do we get to personal? No, because here's what it is. Like, I think any relationship at any level, it's all about exchange, right? And so, which is why I don't have an issue exchanging money for sex or connection or companionship, because I feel like I don't know, like these guys come to you with a need, and like when you're on a personal level, you're exchanging personal stuff, right? And you're both being available to each other, both of you, and you're both contributing something. And in this profession, it's not that way. Like, it's very clear that they don't want, like, they want the connection and they want the openness, but you need to be able to love and let go, which is a skill. And, you know, to be able to not be the crazy woman or whatever. So so the money comes into play to even out the balance of the exchange you have with the client. So when I go personal, it's because we've developed. There's such a click, and again, I'm reconsidering this because I feel like I'm cheating myself in some way, perhaps. But because there's such an emotional click, and we're both exchanging emotionally, like they're able
They're
able
giving
and
to you
willing
as well in
to
that way.
be emotionally available, and so am I. And so when there's that equal exchange, then I feel like the money is less necessary to make it feel equal. And so then I choose to go personal. It's happened twice. It's only happened twice. But they've been lovers for a couple of years now.
I would, you know, if you don't mind me giving my 2 cents
Yeah,
to
give
your
us a yes,
situation,
I know. Yeah.
just listening to it objectively.
Yeah.
If those guys that we've made personal
Yeah.
were in open relationships,
Yeah.
and you could relate to them openly.
Yeah.
You know, even if it's limited.
Mhm.
You know, I would be more comfortable with, okay, it's on the house, whatever, or whatever, however you describe it. We're friends and we're past the business relationship. But the fact that they still,
Are married.
yeah, and you're on the down low.
Yes. And this is what I've been discovering, because this has been an exploration for me, because this is the first time I've done it. And these guys, they happen at the same time, both of these developments.
And if they're watching this, don't get mad at me. I'm just speaking the truth.
No, and I think they agree, actually, because it does, like, because, yes, it was an exploration, and there was infatuation and love, and, you know, the first parts of that, and yeah, I'm just a free spirit, so I'm like, yes, let's try this, you know, but now that we've found sort of a routine and everything, it does feel, I'm like, you know what, I'm not feeling this quite even still. I mean, it doesn't bother me at all that they have a life, and in fact, I have tremendous respect for their wives and their families, and I talk them off the cliff all the time, and like, I get calls, I'm fucking leaving my wife. No, you're not. Go home, take care of your kid, take a breath, hold your wife's hand. Like, I encourage and I help them.
Yeah,
But anyway,
conflict.
yes. But so I have no issue with that. But I don't know.
But yeah, but you don't want, if you're gonna be made to feel like,
I do feel like it's somehow still, yes. I'm just now coming to this realization that, okay, wait, this is still a bit uneven, and I think
I do find what's fascinating. I would say what's fascinating is that initial attraction and excitement when you meet someone, and you do have like this adrenaline rush, and it does taper off eventually. And you still, so I found that with lovers, like my regular, it's like I do still cherish him. He's wonderful, but definitely don't text him as much as I did. You know, there aren't these naughty messages going back and forth, and he's on my brain all the time, which is interesting to experience that peak and be comfortable with it, and know that it doesn't mean I need to run away from my boyfriend.
Yeah, there's just a natural transition.
And also, it as you know.
And it's a wonderful rush.
Yeah, like it was either Rye or Reed that was on earlier was saying. No, I think it was Reed. Like it's to start a relationship because you love somebody is a terrible reason.
Really?
because
well, that kind of love, that
the
kind
adrenaline.
of like rush.
Oh, in fact, that's not love.
Yeah.
No, that's...
But people feels like it to people. Like, oh my God, I'm just thinking about this person all the time. And it can sustain itself for many years actually. And then until it settles into whatever it is, but that's not a part of the equation. And that's when you know what kind of real relationship you have.
Right. Are you supporting each other? Is there an equal exchange of energy in that sense?
I feel like in infatuation and in that rush, there's a lot of projection happening. I don't know. I really dove deep into it because I was having all, like, with one in particular, I was having so much infatuation, like, you can't get them off of your mind, and I'm like, this is fucking crazy. Like, what is going on? Like, so I was curious about it, and the more I dove into it, the more I felt like, yeah, I don't think it's this person doing this to me. I think it's something inside of myself that I'm creating. Well, so what am I doing?
That's the interesting thing about any kind of sex, is like, so much of it is here.
Yes.
You know, there's fantasy, there's all this shit, and then, like, in my film, I want to explore, you know, just even that line between healthy expression of sexuality and acting out all kinds of shit, you know, like, and you just never know where that is. Like, even if you sort of work through you know you have problems, and you sort of work through them, there's still a part of you that's connected to that. Or you may not have ever worked through it, and you have no idea what's driving you to do certain things.
New problems come up too.
And maybe nothing is. Maybe it's just a healthy expression of sex. I mean, you know, like that line. So there's a lot of things to at play when you're developing a sexual relationship with somebody that has nothing to do with the physicality of it.
You know,
You know.
Yeah, I just recently created resolution by hooking up with my high school crush when I was back home. I just said, you know, this just needs to happen. Like, we're tying a knot on it, you know, 20 years later or whatever it is.
Was it worth the wait?
It was nice. It was good. It felt like closure. I didn't have the adrenaline
If
obsession.
I was him watching this and I heard her say, it was nice, I would be like, oh, I love that.
No, it was good. I would do it again. If I go home, I probably will do it again. So that's good, isn't it?
It was not unpleasant.
I could feel it.
Oh my God.
No, it was really great, and it was it felt I guess it wasn't because it wasn't so much an erotic like lust at first sight. I had already had that experience with him, 10 years ago, and so this was almost like the familiarity of just our personal lives. Like we've known each other for so long. I feel like I don't want to give away too much information, but there were many years where there was like overlap where we were living in the same place and that kind of thing. So we've sort of maintained this friendship, but not every day, right? Just like an occasional touch here and there, and he was my first kiss too. So like,
Wow.
yeah. So and I was just like, wow, I never ever like made that happen, and it was this fantasy of mine. So
And then you got to.
yeah, so I just said, this is happening.
This is happening.
All
I'm
the way back
in.
to
Yeah.
elementary school?
No, from high school. But I had this embarrassing night where I showed up at his place. I was like, I'm coming over and it's really late. And,
Recently, when you were trying to do
until
the
high school?
Sorry?
You didn't have your first kiss till high school, huh?
No, yeah, I was super late bloomer. I was maybe, I don't think it was quite 18, 17, 18.
Your first kiss?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, okay, when I was 5, I had me and my
We don't need to hear that story.
Yeah,
It's
my
disturbing.
girlfund and I like kissed like role
That
playing.
was fun. Whenever we're
That
talking
doesn't
about
count.
sex and you start the sentence with
When I
I
was
was 5,
5.
that's a problem.
We don't want that mental.
We talk
that
about
visual.
actually we got on this because on our show we have this, we call it the what is it, the fish tank? No, the kiss and tell tank. And there's a jar of questions that our guests put in, and so and then another guest takes out the question and asks, and what was your first
Scintillating
kiss? It was
question.
the first kiss story.
Yeah.
But we got on this whole thing about children touching themselves, pleasuring themselves at a young age, but it's more about it's soothing and it feels good. It's not about
Yeah, I think
sexual
I think there's a lot of kids who get a reaction to things early on. They're not
Yeah.
thinking sex
No,
necessarily.
yeah, but they'll
It's
still
just
touch
they-
themselves in
they-
public. And
yeah.
their
Yeah,
parents
and,
are
and
swatting at you.
everybody's standing around like, whoa, what's going on? But that's because we're adding all these things to it.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
they
yeah.
have no idea.
Yeah.
I know.
Should I
Like,
hope
oh,
everything
the
I
kid
could?
enjoy himself.
What time are we looking at?
It's 7:46.
Oh, we're in good shape. Okay,
All right.
I just gotta keep an eye on
Yeah,
Minutes
yeah,
to,
no,
it.
to share our lives and hearts.
Um,
But so backtrack. Did I jump? I jumped to being a child from being a late bloomer with my first kiss.
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, it's really weird. I found that a lot of, I guess that there's a whole gamut of things, but in my experience, I've met a lot of women who had, I assume you have a lot of sexual energy,
Mhm.
just based on what you're telling me, and that started late, almost like it sort of, like it was just in there going, oh, let me out, psst. And then when it came out, it was like, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I will say that I remember once talking with a cousin and she made some comment about how her mother's not getting enough sex, and she said, and you know how our family is, like the women in this family, and I kind of went, oh, so apparently it's a
Oh.
thing.
It's genetic.
like the
It's a
women
genetic
have
situation.
yeah, we're like sex driven, and it's true that I developed it on the later side, sort of, yeah. I don't know if that, but I don't think that necessarily caused the
Like a
The rush, yeah, I feel like-
I was also later, but I don't feel repressed in any way.
right. I mean, I almost feel like the starting late was maybe my own fears about relationships and being afraid to connect with people. I hadn't really learned that, parents divorce and
Sure.
weird family drama.
I just didn't grow hips till I was in college. Like my body was just.
so nobody
made-
wanted her.
Except for
I
basketball.
still look like a little girl. So I think I just wasn't
I'm
intrigued.
jumping to because you both have similar but different
Mm.
experiences, and you bring these different things to your show, I'm sure, which is great. So forgive me if I'm just jumping around,
No,
but
this is fun.
I was curious about I'm always curious about those first steps, big
Yeah.
steps, and like when you said you jumped when you were telling your story, you said,
Yeah.
I jumped in.
Yeah.
But like, did you just jump in, or like, you're doing something for the first time?
Well, so I started with central massage.
Mhm.
So I jumped into that. I remember my first session crystal
Tell us
clear.
about your first time.
Well, it was funny because it was so natural in a way. Like I'd never given a massage really, but I don't know. I just what it was, and here's what I feel is the most fascinating thing about this work, and I think all of this relationship stuff, like boundary pushing stuff, is that the thing is that your life depends on your attitude with this work, right? And it's 100%, what you project and what you dish, you get back. So you have to be very on point with what you're putting out. So anything over the phone, and they know subconsciously even, if there's any sense of desperation or any weakness in your voice, you will attract people who will fuck you over, you know. And I've only,
Bad business.
yes, and I've
Yeah.
only been like where someone gave me like a money card that didn't have money on it once, but other than that, I've never had like a bad encounter. And so to me, like from day one, I knew that I had to go in it like fully in my power. So the that world for me has been about like it's really stepping into my power. So and I gave myself the permission to be like that powerful, sexual, commanding, authoritative woman, and this is on my terms. Like the minute I stepped into that room, because if I didn't, I could be putting myself in a dangerous position.
Especially after she tied him up and spanked him. Then,
Right.
You know, he knew.
Then-
Well, if he's
Just kidding.
tied up.
Then,
Say
No, yeah, not. I mean, you don't specialize in BDSM, but
No, I
seems like a good opportunity.
um, that was very natural, and the sensuality stuff just came. Yes, I fumbled. I dropped the oil my first session, and like it kicked it around the floor, and I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. Let me pick that up. You know, like,
Excuse me.
So it was a little like that kind of embarrassing, but
I'm sure he thought it was charming.
I don't know. He didn't even know that he was like popping my cherry, really.
Wow.
But that was that sensual massage, and then there was another level when it came to like the further end, like the escorting end, and I was resistant at first because I really wanted to preserve, and I'm still very picky,
Yeah.
and you know it's very high end and whatnot, so it's not a revolving door kind of situation. It's relationships but I don't
Well,
know.
speaking
Yeah,
of
there
energy
was.
exchange, it's
Yeah,
definitely
it
a higher
was.
level of sharing.
It is, and I don't know. I mean, so and that was another. So doing like the full sex thing was another thing that I had to make sure emotionally I was prepared for. Yeah, and honestly, that took the more I got comfortable with myself. Like the more I was able to step into my power and be comfortable with that, the more boundaries fell away, the more restrictions fell away, and it wasn't an idea that was restraining me from doing anything. It was simply, do I want to do this or do I not want to do it? Which was more. There's more freedom in that. It's more choice and it's more fun, right? So there was no sense of restriction anymore. It was just, oh, does this sound like fun or not? It wasn't like, I don't know, there's this invisible thing that just I shouldn't go there, you know? And so I had to wait for those boundaries to naturally fall away before I crossed that.
And is there a difference in your ability to gain your own pleasure?
Sexually?
Yeah, between clients and other people? Because you say you go deeper
Yeah.
with clients.
No. Gosh. Let me think.
I mean,
No, actually, I feel like where because I've been really opening up sexually, especially the last 2 years. I don't know if it's hormones or age or just spiritually. I've been in my life. I'm dealing with a lot more creative energy,
pushing
so
boundaries.
I think I'm pushing boundaries everywhere, and so I'm just opening up a lot. But I find that where I hold myself personally, sexually, and where my blocks were the same as in like massage or escorting, any other place. But no, here's the thing: there are certain clients that our connection is only from what I read, our connection can only exist on a certain level. Like either most of the time it's that they're very sweet and great and whatever, but they just don't. Something in them is not capable of understanding how to get to a different level. I don't know how to describe this other than it's just a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I have to, I guess I just don't. I don't know.
Well,
I think it might be an awareness of
the
themselves
idea. Yeah, I think
or
it's awareness
something,
and work
connection
on
with
yourself.
themselves, and
Self-development.
so then we stay at a lower level and not lower.
Frequencies. I think it's different frequencies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just not vibing on that.
Yeah, and so that can be less. It almost feels like I'm with. a child in the sense of like someone who's learning something, and that can be less
Yeah.
orgasmic
I mean,
for me.
yeah,
but
and that's-
but it's lovely in a different way.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, and that's not unusual in any kind of sexual dynamic, not just
Yeah,
your
yeah,
profession.
yeah,
I mean,
right.
because I mean, I you know, not to give too much away, but you know, I've been with women I find very pretty and very like a lot of great qualities physically and emotionally, but just don't feel that like, you know, like they're just you could have sex with them and it's fine and nice, but you don't feel like, wow.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
that deep
Yeah,
satisfaction.
and there's no, you can't even put your fingers on it sometimes. It's just like,
Yeah, where
No,
you go,
but-
you're lovely, it's not you, it's me.
But I will
Something's
say
just
though
not
that
happening
like
here.
I've been having tremendous breakthroughs sexually, and I have to say, like in hindsight, it has. I really don't think it has anything to do with my partners. It's all me. Like the more I open up, the more I get in touch with myself, the
Mhm.
more da 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 da. Then the more like, oh, I used to have an issue with this person or this client, and I didn't think we would ever get anywhere, but something magically happened, and it wasn't anything they were doing. It was something in me that shifted.
Yeah,
Right.
like
So
you're
I
more receptive to
I
them.
really do feel like a lot of the power in your experience comes from like you yourself, and whereas before I was dead set on no, this person is just that way and it's just never gonna
yeah.
happen, and so
So you think
So it's
you
been
can
really
you can
surprising.
shift that energy?
totally, and then this person, this in terms of clients, even people like on my personal end, you know, because I was able to go to a different level, they went to a different level, and then
I will
it's
say,
yeah, I
my
don't know.
my more regular lover, we initially there was like this kind of a bad sexual experience the first, or we had a good hookup, but then we didn't have sex, and then finally we did, and I, you know, he said, "Oh, I'm gonna make you come," you know, and I was like, "Yeah, it's not happening," and then he was like, "Well, I'm not gonna come either." I said, "Great, we're not gonna come then," you know, and it was just like standoff.
You took that position?
Yeah, he did.
Well, if you weren't going,
Yeah, he said, I'm not going. I said, fine. I was like, I guess we'll just go to bed like this. And we're, we're sitting here being like, well, great. And then I think it happened even again. It was not great. And I remember thinking, I need to find someone else. Maybe I should go back to this old guy, like a guy from my past that I used to sleep with. But, and I was having all this conflict going, I just need to cut it off. And I said, let me just do it one more time. And we were able to find a synergy. And then it's really great ever since.
So what happened? Was it a shift in you, or was it a shift in comfortability with
so.
you guys, or?
Comfortability
Or is there-
and both. I think we both came with expectations and ideas of, I think he's like, well, I do these techniques and the woman always orgasms this way, and then I was like, no, I do this technique and this is what makes me orgasm every time, and so we kind of were colliding with that, and we really had to just be present.
I like how both sides of that discussion were your orgasm.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, his is just gonna happen.
It's
Right?
just a given.
But I was going to say that's we've had this conversation, or she and I have been getting, A and I have been getting more into these conversations about the woman's orgasm and are there limits? And if I'm having a lover and I have sex with him, it's like, is there this sort of waiting period before I'm with my boyfriend? Because, and I think a lot of the men that I've been with do think, well, yeah, you're limited in a way, and what I've discovered is I'm not limited, and the more sex I'm actually having, the easier it is for me to orgasm. The more I'm able to tap into it. It's almost like playing a sport. The more you're doing it, just
The more your body
Yeah,
is
the more your
attuned
body-
to
yeah,
getting
to
there.
making it
Yeah,
happen.
I think a lot of people come from the perspective of that there's a limited supply of sexual energy,
Right.
and
Well,
like, so
why
I
do you
gotta
have that?
I gotta
Or I have
protect
to
it. I
reserve. I have to, yeah.
Hoarding, the hoarding
can't. I mean,
complex.
it might spring
I have
from the
10
fact
orgasms
that
in here.
that for men you do have to, in the procreation,
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
you
the
have
man
to
might
generate
only have 10 in him.
semen and you can run out for a little while. Or
Ooh, yeah.
But beyond, and maybe it's a throwback to that,
Yeah.
But no, I agree with you guys. I feel like when you're more sexually active, you're more sexually activated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like it's like floating around, and then you can shut down. I don't know if either of you have ever had periods where you haven't had a lot
Definitely.
of sex.
Sure, yeah.
But those,
Yeah, I have.
but when you go through those periods, your body just kind of shuts down. Like kind of
Mhm.
says, well, if you're not gonna do it, I'm not
Then
gonna
I'm not
gonna
yeah.
want to do it all the time.
Yeah, we're just gonna turn our hormones somewhere
Yeah.
else.
So you
Yeah,
flick it on.
But let me just say that I don't think your sexual energy has to be expressed physically, sexually. I feel like as I become more and more creatively active as well, my sexual energy is still there. Even if like I've gone through periods where I'm in a very creative center and zone where I'm not having hardly any sex, but I still feel
I always
sexually.
lamented.
And when you say
vibrant.
creative, you mean writing? What
Yeah.
kind of creativity?
Yeah, like writing and.
Have you ever had an orgasm from writing?
No.
See?
Although I'm
I've
to
had
the
a brain
point now.
orgasm. I'll tell you a little bit
Brain
about the brain
orgasm.
orgasm.
No, but I can. I'm to
It's
the point
equally
now where
amazing.
I'm breathing and I can almost bring myself to climax just through breath work, like
Wow.
sitting at my I can kind of do it now.
You're saying I
This-
had it.
Like, it's
Bikram
weird.
yoga. I
This
almost had
sounds
that.
like a class.
It is
And
a
it just sort
yeah.
of started happening.
You can learn it.
Wow.
No, so mine, I had that experience in Bikram yoga. There's this exercise they make you do where you're flexing the abdominal, like, hip, whatever muscles down there, and they make you like breathe out.
Well,
and you do this
you're
like
stimulating your kundalini,
thing.
right?
Yeah, basically. Well, and you can sort of flex that muscle at the same time, and then you're kind of going, oh.
Wow.
After that torturous class, I'm feeling pretty good.
I got a little cocktail.
Yeah, it feels like
Finish
an
off.
orgasmic cocktail. I'm feeling good. Yeah, and you get there. Yeah, and I think, and I never did do it long enough to see if I could actually orgasm, but I felt that if I had stuck with it, doing it for a month,
Like-
straight,
Yeah,
I'd
The
be off.
challenge is on.
I know, kind of. I feel like I should dedicate
I know
time
you
to
should,
it.
and
And
then
we'll
we'll
do
report
it.
back.
Yeah, we'll do a 30-day blog cast.
Yes, we should.
And I'll be like, I'm so close. 3/4 there.
But I agree with what you were saying. Like, and again, it isn't always about the orgasm. It's about the, whatever the energy and the journey. And you can feel arousal in a lot of different
Yeah.
ways.
I had a brain orgasm once working on a play where I was coaching the actress, and so it was a woman in the room, but we were working on a monologue, and it was going back and forth, and I was guiding her there, and something happened where it was a brain orgasm. It was like epiphany, and my eyes filled with tears, and I felt this serotonin rush, and I started laughing uncontrollably. Yeah, and I went, oh my god, I just had a brain
What was she
orgasm.
doing? She's like, what's going on?
I think so. No, I said it was so beautiful. I was like, it's beautiful. Yes. I think maybe I even clapped. I was like, yeah. I was a little crazy for like a good minute. Yeah, basically. And then I think I'd gone home, and I think it's Talib Kweli that has this song called Brain Sex. And I heard it playing. It was sort of the college music that was popular then, and I heard it, and I went, oh my god, yes! It was a brain orgasm. It was a brain orgasm. So that exists too. So speaking of, fostering your creativity,
Yes.
will get you pleasure as
Well, I think we reached that point. I could talk about this stuff with you guys all night, but
In fact, you're gonna make a whole movie about it.
about a specific aspect. It's
You'll
really
just
a very defined part of
Living in
the
this
whole
sex
open
for 3 weeks.
sort of
How long would the shoot be?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Not long.
Living
We don't
in
have the
sex
money
for
for long.
2 weeks. Are you gonna get naked with your crew? To be
I've
supportive.
been asked that, but I just think it's
It's
important.
crossing a boundary.
Yeah.
To,
Well, it's also
we're
just like
professional.
division of duties and labor, and
Maybe
Yeah.
just your
I
underwear.
I don't want to step on
Underwear?
their territory. I don't want them to feel like I'm encroaching on their.
I think I'm gonna get
expertise.
you a gift, and it's gonna be the name of the movie on your underwear on the back.
on the ass.
Oh, that'd be fun. I'd wear
That's
that.
cute. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very cute.
That's going to be a
Okay.
cast
Filming.
gift.
Yeah.
So,
Cast gift. So optional.
from-
Everyone
from
can walk
pushing
around in it
boundaries.
if they want.
do you know if anybody's chatted and has any questions before we?
Any
Maybe on her
questions?
computer, because remember with mine it
Oh,
doesn't come on.
Oh, that's right. Check
Yeah,
us in the
remember?
morning.
She could
God, there
check.
could be so many questions.
There could.
Answering people's orgasmic concerns.
How do you check that?
Just go to the Webathon page, the regular page.
Yeah, doesn't work.
What if you sign out of Ustream? You're not signed into Ustream, right?
No.
Okay.
I'm not either. So I just clicked on your link that you had.
So
Yeah.
what exactly is this bar?
Bar? What's a bar?
Telemark.
All right,
I
hold
just went
on.
into
We're
to
still-
stream Ustream.
All right.
Okay, here we
Well,
go. Here we go.
We're done signing off.
Wait, hold on. Let's see. Okay, so chat. All right. And
any questions? Ask them now. They're not
Or
going to be on
forever
this
hold your
couch
peace.
the rest of the night.
You can find us at TA Sex Talk.
just love this interview. Let's see.
Oh, that's nice to hear.
We
You guys
love
are
you
fabulous.
too.
That's all I can see right now.
Anyway, thanks. Any
Might
last
make out all
words?
for you.
Give everybody. How can they find Pushing Boundaries?
Where are we?
iTunes, Pushing
iTunes,
Boundaries
Pushing
with
Boundaries.
TNA. RadioTitans.com is where we broadcast from.
Wednesday nights at 9, coming up tonight. And then you can tweet us at TA Sex Talk.
Yeah. Where we'll be tweeting about Jacques' movie anyway.
Yeah.
So we're competitors tonight.
Kind of. I know, we're not, we don't want,
I know.
donate
Donate
to Jacques.
Yeah, donate to me.
Like,
But watch
listen to
them.
donate. Come listen to us.
Yeah.
All right, thank you guys, and thank you
Ciao.
guys. I'll give you hugs. And I'll
Bye.
sign
Thank
off.
you. Oh, God, we've been sitting a long time.
I
I know.
My legs are off.
This sofa is not good for sex.
The truth is that they're both T and they're both A. Okay. Oops.
You recording?
Oh, can we take a photo?
Yes, of course.
That was fun.
That was fun.
Has everyone been here for
I'm still